afternoon, Quadcopter 101 here, and what I got for you today is a neat review of a new quadcopter. Well, it's relatively new. This is the Eachine 250 Racer from Eachine. Actually, I guess that's a Banggood brand. As you look at it, it appears to be, and it is, a 250 style racer. The nearest competitor to this, and I just want to put it up briefly here to show you, is the Wakira 250 Runner, which I have here. This one's got a lot of bad press on it. I kind of feel it's unjustified. I kind of like this quadcopter, to tell you the truth. When you fly it in with a 6G mode with the gyros and accelerometers, I think it's a good quadcopter. But being that aside, this review is regarding the 250 Racer. Now, the 250 Racer, again, is an FPV, and it does come with a, if you go for the full ready-to-fly kit, it does come with the ready-to-go FPV Racer with an FPV screen. It's a rebranded Flysky transmitter here. It's an Eachine i6, and I guess it's a version of the Flysky i6 transmitter. But again, everything here is, let me tighten this up, folks, sorry about that, ready to go, more or less. And that's the idea behind this particular quadcopter. A ready to go, do not build your own racer quadcopter. And that's the concept of it. Now, that being said, I've also seen some people calling this a beginner's racer quadcopter. That is not a good idea. This is not a beginner's quadcopter by any means. You can get hurt with it. These are brushless high-speed motors. And it's kind of heavy. I believe it's 400 grams, around 400 grams weight. It is going to require FAA registration, and it's fast, and if it would hit somebody or hit yourself, it's going to cause damage or property damage, or also hurt someone or hurt someone. So this is by no means a beginner's learn to fly quadcopter. If you are new to this hobby, get yourself something lighter, cheaper, safer, like a CMAX 5C or a Nahui U807. Learn to fly with those, not with this. That would be a sad mistake if you got one of these and learned to fly with. You will learn very quickly that was a bad idea. This assumes you already know how to fly, and particularly can fly in translational flight. Another thing I've seen people speculate is that FPV flying will make it easy. Thus a beginner can fly if you got an FPV screen. That's not the case either. It actually is kind of difficult to fly FPV, especially if you're a beginner. Does not make flying easier. That's just a bad misperception that some beginners have. But let's go back. This is for intermediates and advanced flyers who want to enter into the world of FPV racing. This assumes that you already know how to fly. Now let's go over the quadcopter. It comes with 4 brushless motors, 50-30 props. The instruction manual that comes with this is very poor. It doesn't tell you very well how to install these props. It assumes that you know that there are differences in counterclockwise and clockwise propellers and where they should go on a quadcopter. Namely, this is clockwise turning. This is counterclockwise turning if you look at it from above, and the pitch of the blades should sweep from front to back, and the back blades also should sweep from back to front when installing. That's another thing beginners have a problem understanding, is where to install the blades. And again, the instruction manual for this did not actually show where. Looking at the quadcopter itself, it comes with a 1500 milliampere hour, 11.1 volt battery. Additionally, it comes with a FPV transmitter and FPV camera. Here's the camera on the front, transmitter in there. You can change the channels. I don't know if you can see that little red switch there by the red platform, vibrating or jiggling bumpers here on the camera platform, but there's a little red switch there. You can change the channels of the FPV video transmitter by pressing that button. You can also turn on and off the on-screen display. By the way, this does have on-screen display, which is good. It'll show you battery power, flight time, good parameters to know when you're flying. But you can turn that on and off also by a short press of that button turns that on and off, and a long press selects the different channels, I believe. It automatically scans for open channels. It's an 8-channel FPV transmitter. Now, that's another thing, the guide doesn't show what those frequencies are. So if you want to use goggles with this quadcopter, you need to know what the frequencies are. And I could not find any reference anywhere what those frequencies could be. So if anybody watching this video knows that the frequencies for this transmitter, for the FPV transmitter, please list them down in the comments section below, and I'll move them up into the video info section, because I would like to do a future flight with this quadcopter with an FPV monocular system. I got one here that I'm going to be trying in the near future, and I want to try it out, particularly with this particular quadcopter. Other things about the quadcopter, it's all carbon graphite body. Supposedly it's should be very strong as compared to the Wakira. I guess the Wakira is not all carbon fiber body and could break in crashes. This one's supposed to be tougher in crashes. We'll find out here shortly as I go for a flight with this. I am going to be flying it with the gyros and accelerometer sensors, and bringing that up, let's talk about this transmitter that comes with it. It is a rebranded version of the Flysky FS-i6. It's an Eachine i6 transmitter. Now, according to the manual, only 2 of these switches are used with this quadcopter. And this switch here, which is switch B, is for turning on and off the lights, supposedly. And switch C is for the different flight modes. Now, it doesn't say what those flight modes are in the manual. Of course not. We're going to have to find out here today. It doesn't say what switch A or switch B are for. I am going to try to find that out to see if this is throttle hold and if this is different dual rates. If it has dual rates at all, we're going to try to find out. I'm going to try to throw these switches and see what they do. Also, the menu for this transmitter is locked out. But to unlock it, if you do want to change anything, and don't blame me if you go in there and you mess up some of the preset settings, but you can adjust those settings or unlock this particular transmitter by pushing in on both the yaw trim button and the roll trim button simultaneously while turning on the power to the transmitter. And that will unlock this transmitter so that you can adjust the settings by pressing down and holding the OK button afterwards. So again, to unlock it, you push both of these in, turn it on, then let go of those throttle or those trim buttons, and then hold down the OK button for a few seconds, and that will open up the menu to this transmitter. Other things about the transmitter: to lock the motors on the quadcopter after it's bound to this transmitter, you can push it down to the left of with the throttle button or the throttle stick. If you want to unlock and unlock the transmitter so that the throttle becomes active, you push it down and to the right. Now, by doing so, this does not enter into idle. The motors do not enter idle. Actually, they just, you can't tell it's unlocked until you give it some throttle, and the motors will actually start to operate. So this actually flies a lot similar to a standard toy quadcopter, toy grade quadcopter, in that the motors actually will stop when you pull down the throttle all the way down. So let's go into a flight of the Eachine 250 racer. I'm going to take it out in the field, and I'm going to fly it with just the screen without my sunshade today, since we have an overcast day here. We got a bunch of storms coming into the area, and Satellite Lake is about to be turned back into a lake again, and I'm going to take advantage of this last day of flying before the storms hit. So I hope you enjoy this flight. Okay, this screen comes with you get 2 1500 milliampere hour batteries for this, one for the quadcopter and one to power the screen. To power it, you just strap it on the back here and then plug in the battery, like so. Now, this red button here is selectable frequencies for this transmitter. It will automatically scan for whatever the quadcopter's transmitter frequency is. If you hold in this red button, it will go through scanning the 8 available channels that scan or that transmits on. Okay, we have that turned on. I am going to turn on the transmitter. Make sure all switches are up position and the throttle is all the way down, and the transmitter is turned on, and I am going to plug in the quadcopter to turn it on. And I hear the little tune, so it's bound. Now I am going to turn on my TV screen, my FPV screen, and we can actually see the field with this screen. Now if you look at it, we see we have 12.6 volts. It's 23 seconds since I turned it on, and we're on channel 8 of the transmitter. Now I am going to unlock the blades by pushing this down and to the right. So now the blades are unlocked. So you can see we have power. Now I want to try something real quick. Is this throttle hold or not? I want to find out. I'm pulling the switch down. No, it is not. I'm not sure what that switch is for. How about this button? Pushing down and see if... So none of them are throttle hold. Okay, I am going to try the lights. This switch here supposedly turns the lights on and off. And I cannot tell what the color of the back lights are. The front lights appear to be off. Okay, yes. So the lights are on. Pushing the switch down. Doesn't seem to have an effect, folks. Oh, there we go. The lights are on now. So I guess that does have something to do with the lights. But I'm wondering why I'm pressing them again and not doing anything. Oh, that changes the color if you keep flipping it. Okay. I want that light on. I want that different color, though. Down. Blue. I can't see that. Green I can see. How about the front light? Front light is still white. So up and down keeps changing the colors of the lights. I'm going to keep the switch up and hope that is the accelerometers are on there for auto stabilization. Let's go for a flight of this thing. Taking it off. Oh, before I do, let me lock it. I got a run camera attached. We got to have a video. And video is recording. Unlocking again. Okay, let's see how fast this thing can go. Okay, obviously this is, I don't know. This might not be stabilized. Is that auto leveling? Yeah, I guess that's auto leveling, but it keeps on a lot of momentum on this thing. Turns very well. Bring it in a little closer so you can see that. Look at those lights on this thing. Let's try one of the different flight modes. I got switch C in center position. I don't know what that does. Is it auto level? This might be different rates, folks. It seems to have a lot more pitch in the center position. Okay, let's try turn it around and bring it back. Going back to A position, or switch 1 position. And bringing it in close. And I'm going to put switch A in position 3. See what happens there. Oh gosh. Okay. That makes it super fast. Back to position 3 is, that turns off the rates. Obviously, since I crashed it, it did an auto level. I'm going over to see if there's any damage. Okay, that was the correct of it. That third position, switch 3. Okay, this first position is with the accelerometers still operating. It's low rate, high rate with the accelerometers. Still has auto leveling. And third position all the way down turns the auto leveling off, and you're in full manual flight. So that's the 3 positions of this. I wish they would explain that in the manual, but now we know. Let's look at the damage. It seems to be in good condition. Not actually hurt at all. Overall, looking at it, it's dusty. I did break each and every one of the propellers. Luckily, they give you a spare set, so I do recommend if you get this, these propellers are quite brittle. Get yourself a few extra sets of propellers to go with it, because you will need them. Good thing they sent me a spare set. I will change these propellers. I'm going to do another flight. I won't be able to do it out here in the desert, obviously, but or out here at Satellite Lake because we got storms coming in. But I will be able to do it out in the desert at another site, and I'll do additional flying of this out there, but with keeping the accelerometers on so I don't crack up like that, because I'm still not very good at flying manual with these. So I hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out until the next one. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 back, and we're back again with the Eachine Racer 250. Now this took a big spill in my last video. I think most of you seen that, because I'm going to probably include this as the trailer to that, or following trailer to that last video. But believe it or not, it wasn't that badly damaged. All I broke was the props. I broke each and every one of these props, but that was it. Also, one other thing it broke, this little zip tie on the receiver board broke. That was simple to fix. Just put another zip tie in and zip it back in place. So we're back again with new props. It's kind of a breezy day out here in the desert. I'm going to try flying out here in the desert because Satellite Lake recently become a lake again. If you notice, there's snow up in the mountains. We had a lot of storms go through, and we got another one coming tomorrow. So I'm trying to get this video in today. So let's go for a flight of the Eachine Racer. This time, I am not coming out of switch position 1. We're going to fly this entire flight in switch position 1 because I am not proficient for this quadcopter to be able to go to the other positions. I'll admit that. Okay, hope you enjoy this flight. Okay, it's kind of a breezy day, but I'm going to fly it anyways here. I have 3 cameras recording, the one in my hat, one inside the FPV screen, and one run cam on top of the FPV camera. And we also have the FPV camera itself. So first off, turning on the transmitter. Transmitter's on. Turning on the quadcopter by plugging it in. Waiting for the sound of binding. Should be bound. And I'm going to check, and yes, I am showing 12.6 volts from the quadcopter. I can see it very well, a very bright screen. Unlocking the actually I'm going to use my lanyard today because this thing is pretty heavy with all this equipment. Unlocking it, all switches are up, unlocked. Here we go. Hope you enjoy this flight of the Eachine 250 Racer. Again, today I am going to keep it in switch position 1. Now it's breezy out here today. Going downwind. Coming back upwind. I can see the lights. It's pointed toward me. You can really tell the orientation of this thing by those lights. Let me bring it down for a second, folks. You know, even though it's got its own timer, well, let me read it. Maybe I can read this timer. I'm going to turn on my timer. I'm going to send it upwind a bit. Turn on the timer. Timer's on. Just so I don't run out of, I don't lose track of time. Wow, that thing can move. I'm not sure about the way this thing auto balances itself. It stabilizes itself. It's kind of screwy. I'm going to try to keep it a little closer then because of that. Did you see that, folks? It was kind of listing with the wind. Going downwind. That's the wind just pushing it. It's quite a bit of wind though too today. See, I got the stick centered, and look at that thing. It's kind of not, well, the sticks are centered. It kind of goes to the right there. So, you know, this is not an easy flyer, folks. It's not a beginner's flyer. Maybe it's the wind doing that. But in terms of balancing itself with that wind, that's the wind blowing it by the way. Quite a bit of wind today. Maybe that's the problem. guess this would be a good trainer for advanced intermediates like myself. I don't call myself an expert. Even though I got a YouTube channel, I am not an expert, folks, especially flying manual mode without the stabilization inputs. This one, you know, this position 1 here is not fully stabilized. I can see that right now. I see some people adjusting this, you know, the flight control board can be adjusted to improve, maybe to improve the stabilization. I see people doing that. I'm not quite sure why they were doing it until now. I noticed this thing is kind of loose. I guess this position here, this position 1, would be good to learn to fly FPV with, or not FPV, but yeah, FPV at the same time as with learning to fly with the gyros off, because there is some stabilization, but it's not much. Coming down a bit too. What's that doing that for? But, you know, it takes some concentration to fly. This is what I'm trying to relay, folks. This is not just simple like a toy quadcopter. This requires a little bit more concentration. It is tough, I'll give you that. You know, you saw my last flight with this when I went to full manual mode there and had a little surprise. But it also is a little bit unforgiving in the flight characteristics. You know, it's not just simple auto stabilization. So I'm going to fly kind of slow, folks. I'm not going to go crazy with this thing. Let's try a right turn. But it's also somewhat fast. Okay, I'm starting to get a little feel for it now. I was just flying a Buying Toys X5C-1, and it's an entirely different beast than this. See? Upwind. Okay. Again, this is my first flight with this thing. I'm going to start bringing it in now. How many volts do I got? Yeah, I better bring it in now. Down to 10.9 volts or something like that. There's 5 minutes too. Okay, bring it in for a landing. There we go. And post-landing voltage 11.2. So that was about right. Bring it in at about that time. Okay. Pull off my lanyard here. Putting down the transmitter. Unplugging the transmitter. And turning off my cameras. Okay, I made it back safely. Overall, my thoughts on this, again, you know, this is not for beginners, okay? It is somewhat of a advanced flyer. You know, people say, oh, anybody can fly that. No, you can't with this one. This one requires some concentration. And the reason being, you know, although it appears to have some auto stabilization, it also is kind of loose on that auto stabilization, okay? I noticed it banking there and having some difficulty coming back to auto leveling in position 1. That could have been a factor because of the wind today. There's quite a bit of wind I'm flying out here in today, so that could have been a factor also. But overall, yeah, this would be, if you're looking to enter into the world of FPV racers, this would be a good one. It doesn't require building, and it's relatively inexpensive as compared to a lot of others. Quite a good flyer, actually. As I had been flying a little bit more there toward the middle and toward the end there, you start to get the feel for it quickly, is what I'm saying, particularly in position 1. but I do not recommend going to position 2 or position 3 until you've mastered position 1, okay, until you feel very comfortable with it, because I did that the other day and you saw what happened. Okay, hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101 with the Eachine 250 Racer, signing out.